okay, Bill, come on up. Yeah, and then Mark Wilbur, who's one of the original board members of BizFed Institute and BizFed. Raise your hand, Mark. Mark's an SC guy. He was former dean of Marshall School of Business, but we dragged him down here to UCLA, and he's been a strong supporter of mine since day one, and I appreciate that. But right now, we're going to talk about Bill Stevens, who's going to run through this presentation. The way we do the poll is that we establish it, and all of you and other stakeholders and subject matter experts get a chance to lean in on their view of workforce development and what it means and how it should be shaped and the successes and the challenges. Okay, so he's going to talk to you about that. And at the end of the day, you know, the whole idea is to have you as partners identify the complex and organizational and best employment practices necessary to maintain and grow your success. So Bill, the stage is yours.
Thanks so much, Kevin. And actually, a lot of what Kevin was talking about at the beginning really does play into what we're going to look at right now as we review the results of the flash poll, because we see the importance of technology and the advances and the evolution of the workforce, but we also see something really interesting that's going to jump out to us. That I think you'll find really interesting, which is there's a lot of the old school issues that still come up. There's a lot of importance still placed in terms of developing our workforce and identifying our candidates, bringing people in and making them successful and making our businesses successful. A lot that comes into kind of the old traditional values and importance. So Blaine, on the next slide. So a big thank you to all those that did participate. We had 41 that participated. This is the second time we've done this poll. And I'll reference a couple of things from the previous time. Last time was November of 2023, so we've seen a little bit of change, but we've seen a lot of things staying the same too, in some of the questions that are similar between the two polls. But a big thank you to those that did participate in it, wide range of industries, so we get a really good cross-section of professionals and businesses represented. On the next poll, when we look at overall what we found, on the next slide, just to summarize what we found overall, a couple of things really jumped out. First of all, batteries are perfect. Gotcha. You want to go back one slide? Go back. That one. Thanks. Just really quickly to summarize, it's focusing on the interpersonal components of workforce development. It will be really beneficial. This is something you'll see this kind of weave throughout the responses to the poll. Curriculum came up in a couple of cases. Could be more aligned with business needs. That word "could" we debated back and forth. Could, should. It's definitely not must be, but could be is what we settled on. And you'll see this, it's nuanced, but some consideration in terms of curriculum. Money may be more of a factor now than it was before when we did this. You'll see that come up a little bit. Finding the right people is still a challenge. Some things never change. Finding the right people, really important. And then kind of to address the elephant in the room, and I think because we launched this poll the last week of January, so there were still fires going on in the area. We knew that was something that was going to impact the workplace and our workforces. So we did include a question on that, and we did find that definitely is going to have some long-term impact on our workforces. On the next slide, in fact, just to take a quick look at the impact of the fires, we'll see that. Move to the next slide. We asked, has your business been impacted by the recent fires? And yeah, we found that just about everybody, and this was really shocking to see that only 36%, the second line, said no, we are not directly impacted. So just about everybody, over about 2/3, were impacted one way or another by the fires. And what's particularly interesting in this is even if we look at the lower levels here where we had less of a response, that's significant. When we see 16% expect the fires will have future implications in terms of their insurance premiums, same number that it could have long-term impact on their business models. So with everything we deal with naturally evolving in the workplace, now for those of us in the Los Angeles region, we have to throw in this additional factor that we expect to have some long-term implications. The first question we asked, all right, so skills and leadership development stand out as top priorities. Question for those of you who did take the poll, you'll remember this. Does your organization currently have in place or would like to have in place the following? We give you a list of things and ask you to say you have it now, you would like to have it, or you do not need it. And what I really look at here in the results is the not needed, because this tells us what is needed when we look at what's not needed. And it's interesting that almost everybody needs skills training, right? And I think that that'll be a big theme as we go throughout the day and into the afternoon part of the program as well. And then leadership development training too. So this is where we start to see the communications, the interpersonal skills becoming so important. And it's one of, actually, interestingly, one of the few times that we really see that part really being about developing our employees and really working with them, which is obviously part of the goal of leadership development training. This is very similar to what we saw. Go ahead. Very similar to what we saw when we asked this question last time. But one thing that I did find interesting, and this obviously for employers has been a big issue in the past, and we'll see where it goes now, particularly in our area here. But diversity, equity, and inclusion. Remember, we launched this at the end of December. I think the poll was probably open when the new executive orders came out about this and the impact that had. But notice that 71% say they already have a diversity, equity, and inclusion program in place. And only 14%, even at this point, are saying that they don't need it. Again, most of this is in line with what we found when we asked this question before. On the next slide, we'll take a look at, for those who don't have it in place but would like to have it, what is it that's stopping them? And for those of you that will be participating in the career fair, this I think will give you a lot of ideas in terms of what candidates might be looking for, what some of the things that are going to be important for us. But it's kind of all over the place. So we see skills that in some cases funding. You need assistance to find ways to apply for grants and to get funding for it in some cases, and then. The other one that jumps out a lot is partnership with organizations. So this is where a lot of people in this room could really come into play in terms of what some of the businesses are looking for. And then also notice that 100% of diversity, equity, and inclusion just need to have a better understanding of it. Nobody's looking for more money for it. Nobody's looking for time for it. They just need to understand it a little better, which might make sense at this point. On the next slide. This was, to me, kind of the key question here, which is what are the biggest challenges that you're facing in developing your workforce? We gave you 7 choices, and we asked you to rank them from 1 to 7. And this really jumps out, right? It's pretty easy to see what we're finding. Finding qualified candidates and access to funding. So this is where we start to see the money issue becoming a little bit more important, but these dominated. More than twice as many selected those 2 as the top choice versus the others. And then this is very similar to what we found when we asked this same question before. In 2023, when we asked this question, it was finding qualified candidates that was number 1. Here's something also that stands out, and I realized this morning as I was looking through this again. Notice number 7, only 8% said providing continuous training and skill development for our workforce. And same number said identifying employees who are motivated to elevate their skills. 2023, this was also similar. Yet, we're looking now at also hiring new people, recruiting, the efforts to bring new people in, but are we really spending enough time developing the talent that we have? Are we putting enough emphasis on that? Something that kind of jumped out as I looked through this again. And then on the next slide, the next question that we asked was, here we go. This is a new question. We didn't ask this in 2023, but I think it really kind of sums everything up. What does the bridge between learning and industry look like? And this is kind of what to me created our central themes for Flashpoll and hopefully set the stage for the rest of the day. But collaboration between academia and business, collaboration, that's where we start to see that word come in, and we're gonna see it a little bit more in just a second. And then access to funding again, so this is the collaborating and then the money part of it. But then also, we still get a decent amount of building a diverse workforce is still really important to us. But then again, notice providing continuous training and skill development for our workforce does not jump out a whole lot. On the next slide. Okay, just about done. Great. Okay, we went through this. Next slide. Then we asked about curriculum. So is curriculum aligning with the business needs? And this is why we said it could be more aligned, because notice a slight majority said that no, it is not currently aligned, and then but quite a few did feel yes. So kind of gives us the message that there's a subtle need to align curriculum a little bit more. On the final question that we asked, this is always my favorite, which is the open-ended question, where we just kind of give you something and ask you to tell us your thoughts on it. What skills are currently in demand in your industry? And we broke them into two different categories, because really that's what it comes down to: interpersonal. There are a lot of comments about interpersonal, critical.